Welcome to the SmartKeys podcast.
It's great to be here.
I was looking at this survey from late 2024, and it had a statistic that was, well, it was terrifying.
Boy.
It said something like 80% of knowledge workers feel they're perpetually close to burnout, yet their output, the actual meaningful stuff they produce, has barely increased. We're tracking our time, color-coding our calendars, using AI for our emails, but we just feel heavier.
It's the paradox of the modern workplace, isn't it? We've optimized all the tools, but we haven't optimized the operator.
Operate.
We're running the human machine on a fundamentally broken operating system.
Exactly. And that brings us to the piece we're breaking down today. It's an article called Do Less to Achieve More, Focus on Fewer Priorities to Boost Productivity.
Right, by Felix Römer over on smartkeys.org.
Now, I'll be honest, when I first saw that title, Do Less, my immediate reaction was, well, skepticism.
I get that.
In the current sauce landscape, if you tell a CEO to do less, they're going to look at you like you're trying to bankrupt them. It just sounds so counterintuitive.
It does. And usually that kind of advice is just fluff. It's take a bubble bath or go for a walk.
Right.
But this article isn't talking about self-care. It's talking about yield. This is a strategic business resource based mostly on Kate Northrup's framework. The whole mission of this deep dive isn't to help you relax. It's to explore how shifting from linear time management to cyclical energy management creates a massive competitive advantage.
Right. So we're managing the wrong resource. We're so focused on time, which is fixed. You only get 24 hours.
Instead of energy, which fluctuates.
Precisely. If you treat yourself like a factory machine that has the same power output 24/7, you're operating on a flawed model.
So by doing less of the noise, you get more capacity for the high-value stuff.
It's about density of focus, not duration of effort. Okay, so to get into the mechanics here, we actually have to start with a little bit of Greek philosophy. The article brings up two kinds of time, chronos and kairos.
And I think most of us live and die by chronos.
Completely.
It's clock time. It's quantitative. It's the 9 a.m. stand-up, the quarterly deadline. It's the ticking second hand.
It's scarce.
It's scarce, exactly. When you say, I don't have enough time, you are complaining about a lack of chronos.
It's the anxiety of the calendar notification.
Yes, but kairos is different. It's qualitative. It's about the right moment. It's time-rich.
Okay, so that's the flow state. When you're coding or designing something and 3 hours just vanish.
Exactly. You're not watching the clock. You're inhabiting the work.
So chronos is counting the minutes.
And kairos is making the minutes count.
That's the perfect distinction.
And here's the strategic insight for 2026. You cannot squeeze any more juice out of chronos. We've hit the limit. We have the apps. We have the shortcuts. The next frontier of high performance is creating more kairos.
But kairos feels so elusive. You can't just schedule, have an epiphany at 2:30 on a Tuesday.
You can't schedule it, but you can trigger it. The text suggests using anchors.
Anchors.
Yeah, these little sensory signals to your brain that you're stepping out of that frantic chronos mindset. It works on an almost Pavlovian level.
Like the article mentioned mindful coffee, which sounds small, but I guess the point is the ritual, right? Just stopping the frantic momentum for 30 seconds.
The reset, exactly. And there was that mantra in the text, I am the source of time.
I have to admit, that sounded a bit woo-woo at first, but in a management context, I actually found it pretty empowering.
How so?
Well, if you say, I don't have time, you're a victim of your schedule. But if you say, I am not prioritizing this right now, you're the architect. It forces you to own the trade-off.
Which leads us to the heavy lifting of this article, the blueprint, cyclical living.
Right. And we should probably address the elephant in the room here. The text maps these cycles to biological realities, menstrual cycles, lunar phases. A lot of corporate listeners might hear that and just tune out.
They might think, I'm a project manager, not a biologist. What does this have to do with my Q1 KPIs?
That was my initial thought, too. But when you look at the framework, it's just good project management mapped onto biology.
That's the critical takeaway. You have to look past the labels to the underlying data pattern. Human energy is not a flat line. It's a wave. And this 4 phases framework is just a map of the 4 different gears you need to shift through.
Okay, let's walk through those gears. Phase 1 is rest and reflect. This is winter or the new moon.
And this is the hardest phase for high achievers. It's the strategic pause. In business, this is your quarterly review or maybe the week before a new sprint. Energy is low, it's inward.
The warning in the text was stark. Avoid forcing visible output. That is terrifying for a manager.
Of course, looks like inactivity. But long term, It's essential. If you skip this winter phase, you're climbing a ladder very efficiently, but you haven't checked if it's leaning against the right wall.
So you accept the low output to ensure the strategy is sound. Then you move into gear 2, spring. Brainstorm and plan.
Right. Energy is rising. This is the initiation window, the blank whiteboard stage.
Huh.
You're starting new projects, drafting outlines, all that creative stuff.
This feels like the fun part, the startup energy. But is there a danger here?
Oh, yeah. The trap in spring is a lack of structure. You get shiny object syndrome. If you don't channel that energy into a concrete plan, it just dissipates. You're planting seeds here, not harvesting.
Got it. Then we hit the peak, summer, the communicate and pitch phase.
High visibility, high voltage. This is the full moon. In the office, this is when you schedule the big investor pitch, the webinar, the difficult negotiation.
I have definitely made the mistake of trying to do a summer task in a winter headspace. I tried to lead a huge all-hands meeting when I was just completely drained. It was a disaster.
And the audience feels that, don't they? It feels inauthentic because you're fighting your own biology. The framework argues that if you align the pitch with your summer energy, you're charismatic without even trying. You're riding the wave.
And finally, the wave crashes, and we enter autumn, the focus and complete phase.
The luteal phase. Energy turns inward again, but it's a critical kind of energy. This is detail mode. Analytics, editing, bug fixing, closing all the loops.
I call this headphones mode. The door is shut. Do not talk to me. I'm finishing the thing.
And notice the sequence. You didn't try to edit the details back in the spring brainstorming phase. You waited. This prevents that spinning your wheels feeling. It's about the right task at the right time.
The article also connects this to project seasonality, and the concept of the fertile void was fascinating.
It sounds like sci-fi, but it's a very real problem. The fertile void is just the space between the end of one project and the start of the next.
And we systematically skip this. We finish a huge launch Friday at 5 p.m., and we're expected to start the next big thing Monday at 9 a.m.
At full speed. And then we wonder why the team is cynical or why the quality drops. Rework is the penalty for skipping the void.
So this isn't about being lazy. It's about preventing the do-it-twice tax.
Correct. Recovery is a system, not a luxury. You are the equipment.
That segues perfectly into the tactical side of rest. The article brought up ultradian rhythms. Most of us know circadian, the 24-hour cycle. But what are these?
They're shorter cycles that happen within the day. The source cites data suggesting the brain has a focus horizon. The optimal rhythm is about 50 minutes of focus, followed by a 17-minute break.
50 and 17, that is oddly specific. Why not 15 or 20?
It's an average from observing top performers, but the number matters less than the ratio. The point is, you can't just power through 4 hours of deep work. Your returns diminish rapidly.
And a break here doesn't mean switch tabs and check LinkedIn.
No, that's just shifting the cognitive load. A true break is a state change. Walk away from the screen, look at something in the distance. Or, as the article suggests, yoga nidra.
Okay, let's talk about that. For someone who hears yoga and thinks they need a mat and flexible hamstrings, what is this really?
No mat required. It's often called NSDR, non-sleep deep rest. It's a guided relaxation you can do in your office chair for 15 to 30 minutes.
And the claim is pretty aggressive.
It is. That 20 minutes of yoga nidra can offer the restorative equivalent of several hours of sleep.
That is a massive ROI. If you could buy a software tool that did that, every CTO in the world would buy it.
That's the Kairos leverage again. You're stepping out of linear time to reboot the system.
Okay, so we're managing our energy, we're resting strategically, but we still have a mountain of work. How do we filter the tasks? The article uses the 80-20 rule, but with a visual exercise that I actually tried.
The wins versus tasks drawing. Simple but brutal. Draw a line down a page. On the right, you list your big wins, the 3 or 4 outcomes you actually get promoted for.
And on the left side, you just dump your entire to-do list.
Exactly. Then you play connect the dots. You draw a line from each task on the left to the win it supports on the right.
And that is the painful moment, because I looked at my list and I had all these tasks. Update the color on the slide deck, attend weekly status meeting, and there were just no lines connecting them to the wins column.
Those are the orphan tasks. They keep you busy, they fill up Chronos, but they don't move the business forward. And for those, you have 3 choices: eliminate, delegate, or defer.
Let's talk about delegate, because the section on asking for help really struck a chord. We have this script that asking for help is a sign of incompetence.
And the source material just reframes that completely. It positions asking for help as a high-leverage productivity tool. But there's a protocol. You have to ask Early, often, and kindly.
Early is the one I struggle with. I wait until the building is on fire before I ask for a bucket.
And that's why delegation gets a bad reputation. When you ask late, it's a crisis. If you ask early, while you're still in that spring planning phase, you're respecting their time.
And often just normalizes it. It's not some big dramatic event.
Exactly. And kindly isn't just saying please. It's providing context. I need you to handle X so I can focus on Y, which gets us the Z result. You're not just dumping work, you're redistributing resources.
So let's zoom out. We're looking at the workplace of 2026. AI is handling scheduling, writing code. Where does this do less philosophy leave the human?
This is the crux of it. We're moving into an era where AI will dominate Chronos. It's faster than you. It can process more data faster than any human ever will. If your value is, I work fast and I grind hard, you're competing directly with a machine.
You will lose that race. So the hustle, the pure speed, is actually a depreciating asset.
It is obsolete. The human advantage in 2026 is kairos. It's timing, it's intuition, it's the creativity that only comes from that fertile void.
That's a powerful pivot. We aren't doing less because we're soft. We're doing less of the rote work so we can double down on the human work.
Precisely. The machine doesn't need rest, but it also doesn't have insight. You need rest to generate insight. That's the new economy.
So for the listener who's nodding along but feels completely overwhelmed, where do they start? What's the Monday morning version of this?
The article suggests a 7-day experiment. Don't change everything. Just pick one variable.
Maybe it's the 50-17 rhythm. Just set a timer. See if you crash less at 3 p.m.
Or look at your calendar for next week. Find the one task that needs the most brain power. Then look at when you naturally have that energy. Are you sharpest at 10 a.m.? Move the task there. Defend that slot with your life.
Small shifts. I like that. I think for me, I'm going to try the fertile void. I'm going to schedule a block of time after my next big project that is just empty.
That brings up a final thought. We live in a world obsessed with more growth, more scale. But maybe the most strategic move a leader can make today is to intentionally schedule emptiness. Because it's only in that void, in that silence, that the next great idea has the room to actually emerge.
You can't hear the signal if there's too much noise. Well, on that note, we're going to wrap up this deep dive. I want to say a huge thank you to everyone listening to the SmartKeys podcast today.
Thank you.
If you found this breakdown valuable, please subscribe. We're going to be covering a lot more about the future of work and SaaS innovation in upcoming episodes.
And definitely check the show notes. We've got a link to Felix Römer's full article there. You really need to see the diagrams of the 4 phases.
Oh, absolutely. The visuals make it click. Thanks for tuning in. And remember, sometimes the best way to move forward is to stop for a minute. See you next time.
Goodbye.